What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Verbal Garbage Football Show, coming at you hot and live, joined by Reef, following a pretty boring and frustrating week 6. Both the undefeated teams falling off their perch. Reef, if you had to say whose loss was more concerning, 49ers going down to the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, or the Eagles losing to the Jets in New York? Taylor Swift was not there.
I think the 49ers loss is still worse.
Yep. No Deshaun
Uh,
Watson, no Nick Chubb, missing a lot
yeah,
of
they
key
lose.
players.
Yeah, they're missing. The Browns aren't. They have a good defense. They're not a very good team in general. We know the Jets have a pretty good defense. They've beaten the Bills already this year. They're a tough team to play, but the
Yep.
Eagles, obviously, we just watched it.
Oh,
They beat themselves. Their play calling's been horrible this year. Hurts didn't have a good day today.
looked
Devontae
like he
Smith.
was
It
trying
doesn't
to
seem
give
like
it away.
Devontae Smith knows how to come to the ball when he's running routes. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and then Lane Johnson went down in this game, and seems like after that, I mean, kind of all downhill. I don't even really know where to begin with that game. Like you said, Shane Steichen leaving. We've talked about that before, but that's really starting to rear its ugly head. The play calling is just they don't seem to have an identity. One week they're running Swift and Swift is running wild, and Gainwell comes
Mhm.
in for a couple plays. He looks like he's explosive, he's running well, and they just can't stick to anything. And the Andy Reid, stink seems to never be able to be shed from these birds. So are you still thinking Denver the 49ers are the best teams, or the Chiefs? They're playing with a lack of firepower, but they're consistently winning these games. So
I mean, everyone, as you know, the last couple weeks, this week especially, has been talking so highly of the 49ers and how great they are. And I mean, if you look at their schedule, they haven't really beaten anybody yet. Um, and the Eagles thing kind of reminds me of like a basketball team in a way.
okay,
Like,
interesting.
I don't want to like say like a LeBron type team, but like you know how those teams kind of like are just going through the motions in the regular season, they turn it to a new level.
Yep.
That's what it feels like. I hope that's what the Eagles are doing because that's what it really feels like.
Hey,
It
I
feels
hate
like
to
they're just
draw a
trying to conserve.
parallel there, but kind of like the Phillies, like they're a team that's built for the playoffs, and the regular season they don't do anything that blows you away, and then the playoff time, I don't know. Maybe the Eagles, like you said, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I couldn't help it draw the
Yeah,
parallel.
that's a good point too. It's just like they're legit. What's 5-1, and they've not looked
Not one
good
game.
really. They
No.
haven't looked good one game. I haven't been like one game. I've been like, yeah, that's the Eagles. Like we're going to be crushing teams this year. No,
And everyone's talked about it. We can pull it up here, but they haven't gotten to the meat of their schedule yet. When I think it's week 8 or 9. I mean, next week they got to play the
starts this week.
Dolphins. Well, I know
Yeah, I
they got
think
to
that's
play the
going to be.
Dolphins and then the Commanders, right? But then they're going to that stretch where it's like the Cowboys, the Chiefs. Like I'm trying to
Yeah,
pull that up now, the Bills, the 49ers. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a lot to be concerned about. And the Eagles are just they look to be guilty of playing down to the competition right now. And
hmm
do you think there's, like you said, is there a chance that when the schedule gets tougher that maybe they're going to improve, or I don't know?
I think I think this week versus Miami will tell us a lot because if Miami comes out and just destroys us, I just think this year just not a very good team. Like they should be able. This should be their biggest game since the Super Bowl. Should be ready to bounce back. They should play their hardest like it's a playoff game. They should want to win this game more than any game
Yeah.
because this is a good team they're playing against, and they really need to show us fans and other teams around the league that they're still the Eagles that we saw last year.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, here we go. It's coming up. They're playing home Miami Sunday Night Football. Then they go and play at the Commanders, 1 o'clock game.
Mm,
Home for the Cowboys, 4 o'clock. Bye week in week 10. At the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Bills, 4 o'clock game, and Philly. In Philly for the 49ers, at Dallas, at Seattle. So I
yeah,
mean,
it's not going to be easy.
this is really gonna be the time, and
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's tricky. Let me go grab if you got a point to make. Just I got my phone for a couple notes, but any things you noticed from this week you want to talk about? The London game, perhaps? Were you intrigued by that?
I mean, the London game was what it is. I think it's kind of hard to like gain much from the London games. It's such a ridiculous thing that they do. Like
You don't? Are you not? I kind of
I
like the
like it.
9:30
I
football.
like it, and I think it's fun to watch. Wake up and watch a football game, but I just don't think you can take anything from either team
Yeah.
playing. 5 hours, some teams 8 hours if there are West Coast teams playing in London.
I just read an article about how they're potentially trying to do a Super Bowl in London in the next couple of years, and
Yeah,
uh, who knows? The global expansion. Football is
yeah,
gay, so they're trying to
yeah.
go to every direction with this. Did you watch that game? Did you see how that guy got ejected for the helmet to helmet?
I actually saw that after the fact. That's pretty.
I've never seen that. Is that the first? I've never seen that in the NFL before. I've seen with college how they're doing the targeting, but I walked away after it. My dad told me that they ejected him. They reviewed it, and I was stunned. And we were exchanging text about how you're saying the offenses and the quarterbacks are so bad, and it's just wild. You would think it'd be even going up with the influx of defensive penalties and all that. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. And you watch, I think it was the 49ers game. One of their safeties or cornerbacks had a forearm to the shoulder pad that got called a helmet to helmet, extended the drive, and was one of the reasons they lost. So there's just, I don't know. Week in and week out, you see these things. And speaking of things you see week in and week out, last year, the Eagles had a little bit of Minshew mania come in and out, and I'm one who thought he was maybe a real solution. And he's one of these guys, man. He can tease you just enough, and then when he comes in and he starts, like last week, he had a really good game. They were feeling him, so he's got the momentum, similar to going into the Cowboys game last year. And today, I think he had 3 picks and a fumble. So, what is your thoughts on the state of the quarterbacking in the NFL right now?
It's very poor. I mean, you mentioned a guy like Minshew. Like, I guess he's a solid backup, but if you want to be honest, he's better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in the league right now.
For sure.
Like, I don't think he's good at all. I really don't. No. I didn't even think he was good when the Minshew mania stuff was a thing. He's not very good.
I can understand that.
There's a lot of teams. The Panthers have a horrible quarterback. I know he's a rookie. I'm not going to be too hard on him. Horrible quarterback.
Well, what are your thoughts on him? Do you think it's the coach, the play calling, the lack of skill players?
I think
Did you watch the game today? They were up 14-0.
Yeah, they were up, but the Dolphins are not a fair team to judge anybody against. I just don't like. It's hard to judge a rookie quarterback too, and it's unfair to put him against Stroud because Stroud has looked like a 5-year pro.
Yeah, really.
But impressive. It's like, gosh, you guys really made the wrong pick. It's just hard not to like
for him too, right?
Yeah, it's hard not to like look at it that way, but it's the reality. Like, you traded up for this guy. Maybe he is going to be good, but it's tough when Stroud's winning games and looking. What do you thought his first interception of the year today in week 6? Like, that's insane.
And I think, were you hearing the stuff this week about what Doug Peterson was saying in the press conference? Or not Doug Peterson, who's the Panthers coach right now?
I know who it is.
Whoever it was, he was in the news about saying how the owner was pretty much interfering with the draft day, and then that, for lack of a better term, he was blaming, the pick on ownership. And
that's not good.
Was that like a little bit of cover your ass, or what do you think that is right there?
I don't know. That's I didn't hear that. That's interesting. I mean,
if you don't have the coaches buying in on you, or that just was a little strange to me right there. And
that's kind of
friction in that front office.
Even if that's not the guy you want, you can't say that as a coach in week 6 of the guy's rookie year. I mean, that's gonna, like, what's the point of him being there? He's gonna feel like why? What am I even playing for if you don't believe in me? Like, we don't have a chance in hell if you don't believe in me and you think I was the wrong pick.
I guess it's just that nature of the NFL where everyone's looking out for themselves and looking out for their jobs, and seeing right away that, because I think they gave up like DJ Moore, a draft pick, and something else, next year's pick, I think, to move up and get him. So it's looking rough. Speaking of DJ Moore, Chicago, I didn't spend really any time watching their game today. You have any thoughts on Fields? I think he got hurt with a hand injury.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Who was their backup?
It's Tyson Baggett.
Wow. Yeah, I actually never heard of him.
I know he got a touchdown he got a 1-yard rushing touchdown. I was really upset because Deontay Foreman, I started him over Saquon Barkley today, but
damn,
it's whatever. Yeah.
Saquon, any thoughts on that game tonight? I'm not going to be watching that. I kind of might be watching the ALCS over that game. We got I say that, but I'll be watching. No
To be
Danny
honest,
Jones.
to be honest, I think the Giants have a chance to win tonight.
The way this week is gone, right?
It just feels like like the Giants are going to play better because they'll have someone playing quarterback who can throw a football.
Yeah, and I mean the way like you saw it, a lot of two big upsets to two undefeated teams falling. Maybe this is the week where the Cowboys can jump on the momentum here and capitalize on the Eagles losing and get
Mm.
it back to normal where everyone thinks the Cowboys are the hot team right now. And
Yeah,
I'm just very aggravated with the way that Eagles game turned out, and I can't stop thinking about Jalen
yeah.
Hurts just itching to give that game away. I mean, he on that last drive he threw another two really close interceptions that should have been picked, and
Oh yeah, it was bad.
I just do you have any inkling to what's going on? Was last year a fluke? Is he regressing back to the mean?
I'll tell you what. I have
Clearly,
one
it's
thing.
not the weapons.
I have my eye on one thing with the Eagles. It might be a hot take.
Nick Sirianni.
Someone mentioned it to me, so I'm not going to take full credit for it. AJ Brown might be bad for the locker room.
You know, he had a little another outburst again today, and I remember a few weeks back when he had his whole thing on the sideline. Me and my buddy were very negative about that situation, and that's actually really
I mean, he's incredible, but
he's so good with the typical diva wide receiver,
and
right?
I understand a lot of like a lot of times like yeah, throw him the ball because most of the time he's going to catch it and make a play. But it's about the team and like they were at their best last year when he was getting the ball. He got his touches. Smith got his touches. Got his touches. Everyone got their touches last year, and you can't be like causing a scene when you have a bad drive or
Yeah,
you had a couple plays where you weren't open. It's just not good for the team. Then Hurts and him are quote unquote best friends. That's what they both say.
right.
It's not going to make everyone happy when it's like, oh, he's trying to force the ball to his best friend when there's better plays to make or guys are open in other areas. I just think it's something to keep our eyes on
That's
because
definitely
I don't like that.
a pretty good point there because I it's not really something I thought of yet, but it's I've been monitoring, I've been noticing some outbursts here and there, and I've been getting a little concerned by it. But
I mean, since that outburst, what has Smith done anything? Has he had a game like worth like talking about at all? I mean,
he had a fantastic catch a couple weeks ago. I remember that. But yeah, today I'm not gonna, he had one or two drops, but then a couple other ones where the
I
defender
mean,
were hitting him. It wasn't his fault, but there was one or two that were clearly on him, and you just gotta wonder
yeah,
how's the
it's
chemistry, what's the psyche like in that huddle right now. As the season
yeah,
goes on, the schedule gets tougher, the injuries start piling up. Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm panicking yet, but the Jets are one of those teams where you look at this as kind of like, okay, they're resting Jalen Carter and Darius Slay, not a huge deal. Maybe it's just not taking the schedule too seriously. Then you look at Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed aren't playing, and
yeah.
it just seemed like a
So
shoe in, and it's just the typical. My dad always has this line about the Eagles that they're letting them hang around, and as you watch the game, and you could just see it unfolding as the field goals were being missed, and I don't know, it's just
yeah,
super frustrating.
let's not dwell on the Eagles though. There's other bad teams to talk about.
Who sticks out to you today?
Who the one that sticks out to me the most as far as this team is really bad. They have a bad coach. They have a bad quarterback. They have
I
a
know
bad
where
defense.
I know
They
where
have a
you're
bad
going.
offensive line. They have two bad running backs. They were very good for most of our lives
Yeah,
because they had the greatest player ever. They lucked into drafting in the last round of the draft. But
so
it's crazy what happens when you don't have that player anymore.
so you're not of the mindset that it was a twin tower, if you will. It was
Oh no,
wait.
that's unfair. That's unfair. I wouldn't go that far. However,
There's some extremists out there.
I just think it's something that we should look at. Like you know, there's coaches. There's been a lot of good coaches who won Super Bowls. Not
Yeah,
all of them had Tom Brady.
Doug Peterson.
Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians.
Yeah,
That was when I first
how quickly we forget.
that was when I first raised my is Belichick really the greatest flag?
Hmm.
And then I heard a thing this week about how Andy Reid is probably going to pass Belichick on the all-time wins list because he's going to coach for longer. Interesting. How are their careers much different besides one having Tom Brady for 20 years?
Well, the fact that Andy Reid got the 5 NFC championships in a row and could never win a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
And made the playoffs every year with my favorite quarterback, Alex Smith.
Yeah, I mean he did, but that's just I'm showing you a glaring difference there. Those glory years of the Eagles, that I'm still bitter about them, and then losing them in the Super Bowl.
Well, it was like McNabb had no receivers, Brady had no receivers, but he was Brady, so it worked.
And there was always that parallel, and then like you said, very similar, but one coach always get over the top, and not to mention that Belichick had to go head-to-head Peyton Manning every year. Andy Reid didn't have that. He was going against Brad Johnson and Michael Vick, and
it's very interesting. They're both like allergic to wide receiver talent. Like they just get it, and they're like, no, can't. You got to let it go.
And in bad receivers, it's like what about the Dolphins? Concerning or not? 14-0 in the hole, and then they end up doubling up on just going 42-21.
No,
coming
I have
in
no
week. How do you foresee up going? Eagles, Dolphins.
Sorry.
No, my bad.
No, it's just like you were going in and out for a second. That's why I couldn't tell.
So I'm just asking, like, what did you think of the Dolphins today, and how do you see the Eagles, Dolphins going next week?
Like I said, I hope like what I hope is I hope the Eagles like come out and play their first real game of the year next week and just like win a nice low scoring, run the ball a lot game. I also see a game where the Dolphins score like 40 points and just like a 41-21 type of game. They just crush the Eagles. They can't stop them. They can't stop the run. They can't stop Tyreek Hill, which I don't think anybody can.
Nope, definitely not. And you saw Blankenship going out today. Justin Evans? He was already out, so they're very thin right now in the secondary, and Ricks and Roby and a couple other guys went down. So big cause for concern. A lot.
Yeah, but they can make it all right next week with a win. I'll tell you that. If they beat the Dolphins next week, I'll be A-okay with the season
for sure. How about those Detroit Lions out there?
Ooh,
took it to Baker Mayfield. They're really
they're 5-1. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, and they're stockpiling their weapons. They lose Jahmyr Gibbs for a week, and then Jamison Williams coming back. So Amon-Ra St. Brown missed a week, came back today, splashed. So what do you think of them? Legit, just early season, flaky, fun team.
I mean, they beat the Chiefs week 1, right?
Yep.
Then they lost to the Seahawks. Then they beat the Falcons, Packers, Panthers, and Bucks, which any team in the NFL's hard to beat. I'm not going to take that away from them.
It doesn't sound impressive, but when you look how consistent they've been,
But I guess the impressive thing you can look at, besides the Seattle game, has been their defense. That's the surprise, We've always known that they kind of have Jared Goff in general. He's a good offensive quarterback. He was like that in the Rams. He made the Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yep.
He is what he is. He's one of the better half quarterbacks, maybe even top 10 in the league.
Wow.
But their defense is like, if their defense can keep performing like this, they could beat some people. I mean,
you have their schedule pulled up?
Yeah.
How's that looking up?
They get the Ravens next away, which is a tough game, but the Ravens are one game they might beat you, one game they're worse. They're trash.
Every year.
Yeah. Then they play the Raiders, Chargers. They've got an easy looking schedule. They don't play anyone else that's a playoff team, unless you consider the Chargers a playoff team, and the Cowboys later in the season. That's it.
Okay, so interesting segue there. The Chargers and the Cowboys. That's actually the Monday night game tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. How do you see either of their stocks going up? The Chargers, I don't think are for real. I just think social media quarterback, fun throws, fun commercials, not for real. And the Cowboys, America's team, a lot of hype, but what's their future, Nostradamus?
I've been watching football since about 1997.
Yep.
I think that was like the first game I remember watching. Since that day, I've seen the Cowboys be talked about every year as a Super Bowl contender. And they're a joke.
Yep.
I believe they have one playoff win since their little 3 Super Bowls they won in the 90s or whatever it was. Which was 30 years ago, by the way, almost.
Yeah.
Then the Chargers. Wow. LaDainian Tomlinson,
Kellen
Philip
Moore revenge
Rivers.
game.
There's been so many good players, so many good teams the Chargers have had in our lifetimes. Think about the 2000s. They were so good every year, won
Amazing.
the division.
Tomlinson,
They had a
Gabe Rivers.
Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame running back. Now they got another great quarterback, and they're still the same exact team. It's unbelievable.
And hey,
That's why it's like
move him
that's why
out.
it's like going back to the Lions. I feel the same way about the Lions, Chargers, Cowboys. No matter what happens, there's still those teams. It feels like, and until any of them do something in a playoff game, I can't take them seriously.
Yeah. And that AFC West, it's been hyped up for the last few years about
Yeah,
all the I've fallen victim, the promise of all the quarterbacks and Russell
Russell
Wilson,
Wilson.
this and that, and it's fallen, yeah, it's
We
fallen,
care a lot.
So I just the Broncos are probably maybe the worst team in the league. I don't know them or the Panthers. I don't know what your thoughts are on that,
Patriots.
but Patriots.
Yeah.
So what do you think's first to fall here? Do you think Mac Jones is going to get benched? Do you think they're going to wait to the end of the season to fire Belichick? Do they fire Belichick? Like, how do you see this Patriots thing unraveling here?
I just feel like firing Belichick is such bad PR. Like you
Yeah,
cannot fire him. There's just no way. He's done too much for the franchise.
and
Um,
it kind of all dates back to full circle here because they were playing Jimmy G today, and ever since that Jimmy G and Tom Brady division kind of came up, it
yeah,
was all they were forced to trade Jimmy, and then Brady
yeah, and
wasn't connecting with these guys and all this weird stuff, and it's all been kind of downhill from there.
yeah. It's interesting because apparently, like Robert Kraft wanted to keep Brady, right? He thought Brady was fine,
Yep.
and they were right, and that might have cost them maybe a chance at one more Super Bowl. And he
Yep.
probably holds that against Belichick. Like he probably hates everything that's happening right now, and it's like, hey, it's your fault. You did this.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like that was the original seed for where the relationship might not have gone the direction they both would have wanted later in their careers. And it seems
Mm-hmm.
something's off there. The personnel's every year, the coaching changes. They bring in this guy, they get rid of this guy, and nothing seems to stick. Uh Patriots aren't really worth covering. They're kind of a lost cause for
Yeah.
this season. You got any standout teams or anything you wanted to cover from this week in particular?
Um, I kind of, I don't want to jump the gun here. I want to make sure their record is what I think it is before I speak of them. I'm sorry about this.
No, it's fine. PJ Walker, were you impressed?
Yes.
Out of
No.
the week of the comeback quarterbacks, we had Brian Hoyer making a little appearance. We had PJ.
Yeah. Brian Hoyer won. Walker Washington. I don't know what wrong sport. It's basketball.
Now I'm not going to get too carried away with the Eagles stuff. No, go ahead.
The one team I did want to talk about, and I think I mentioned it in a few texts earlier. I really, really like the Rams. I think I
Yeah.
think I think they could really challenge the 49ers in a serious game if they can make the playoffs.
You know how that division is. It's like the first place team comes in last place the next year, and it's
Mm.
always they always play each other so tough. And that's a really interesting call because I wasn't paying much mind to them, and each week they're getting friskier and friskier. And Cooper
When you
Cup
get
came back kind of out of
yeah,
nowhere, and he's just back to
when you realize they were missing one of the 10 at the worst 10 best players in the NFL. He hasn't played for the first couple of weeks, and now he's back, and their offense looks a lot better. They've got Puka, they
yeah.
got Tutu Atwell, they've got the running back. I don't think he's very good, but apparently he had 150 yards today.
Today, Kyron Williams. So
Yeah, I thought he was pretty bad.
they have
But
players on defense, so
yeah, they're an interesting team to keep our eyes on for sure. I think
the record.
3-3.
And what is their schedule looking like coming up?
So the Rams so far, they beat the Cardinals, they lost to the Eagles, beat the Colts, they lost to the Bengals, lost to the 49ers, and beat the Seahawks. So they've played a pretty fair schedule.
Oh,
They play the Steelers, Cowboys, Packers, Seahawks. They got a pretty tough schedule.
yeah, they do. They're
But if they
always one of those teams that I feel like they play up to their competition.
for
Much
sure, like dude, their losses are the Eagles, Bengals, and 49ers. I mean, what do you expect?
I think they lost to the Bengals when the Bengals were starting to make that turn.
And
'Cause I kind of wanted to get to them next too, because they're one of those teams that you don't think so.
I don't believe in the Bengals.
What's your? What's your cause for concern with them or not believing?
Well, I think Burrow's fine. I'm a kind of a Burrow hater. I'm
Earn a
not gonna
cheek.
lie.
I've never
Like
liked them.
I don't dislike. I think he's an amazing quarterback. I just think they like overhype him a little bit. A little bit. He's good. He's great, actually. I just don't believe in their run game. I don't think they have a good enough offensive line. Their defense, I guess, did okay today. I didn't really watch much of that game. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't. I wasn't
Um,
on top of it.
but I just don't think they have the line or the run game to compete like when it matters.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like quarterback, as we know, is the most important thing in football, and it comes down to the best quarterbacks are usually the last teams around. And I know you got your one favorite guy out in Kansas City that holds the crown in the NFL for being the best, and I can't deny it. But if there's one quarterback that I'm not going to say has his number, but has played him well over these last few years, it's
Yeah,
definitely
for sure.
Burrow on the Bengals. So
Yeah, for sure.
they're around later in the season. They're definitely going to have a chance, and I think they're one of those teams that's we talked about earlier, like being built for the playoffs and being built for the run. I think they're a team
Yeah,
that's perfectly suited for that kind of thing.
that's a fair assessment.
Thanks. I thought it was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the NFC, 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys. I mean, not much has changed than the Lions, right? Is there any one you'd add to that? Like the
I
Bucks were
told you
there
the
with the
Rams for me. I
schedule.
think the Rams are the team for me.
So if you had to knock out the Cowboys or the because who did I just say?
It's the Lions, Eagles, Cowboys,
Nine.
49ers.
So I think that's a good five for right now. I kind of wanted to whittle that down to three just to kind of see because the
Oh,
Rams, I
yeah.
still got to see a little bit more out of them.
Oh, yeah.
I
The
don't know
three
how
are
to,
definitely, yeah, Eagles, 49ers, and Lions are definitely the big three right now.
but you could say the same thing about the Eagles because what have they really shown us in the 6 games that they've played? You know,
Yeah, I mean, at least they're 5-1 though, despite being an awful team.
now the 49ers, we keep bringing them up. I don't know if it's because I was in and out or what, but the McCaffrey injury were they glossing over that or was that nothing
No,
major?
I mean, Debo Samuel and McCaffrey got, I hate to say it, they're yearly injuries. They
Yeah,
get
I
them
mean,
every
it's
year.
coming, but I feel like I was watching that game and the announcers weren't really bringing it up much, and I'm like, I feel like this is a pretty noteworthy conversation here because he is.
Yeah, he's everything.
I mean, besides Mahomes, you could argue he is the most important player for any given team.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And you got fucking
I
30. I mean, halfway. I think it was the second or third drive of theirs in the fourth quarter. So there was like 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I wrote it down on my phone just because he was 9 for 20,
70. Come
83
on.
with a touchdown and interception. And I'm like, how?
Mm.
And
Desmond Ritter.
well, yeah. So, I mean,
Pretty.
Ritter's actually looked pretty competent, a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's and I'll admit the Purdy stuff is a little. It dates back to last year in the playoff game when the Eagles sacked him. He
If
got
we had Purdy.
everyone blamed it, on the injury and acting like that the Eagles weren't the better team because of that. And okay, well now your quarterback has 83 yards in the fourth quarter against. I mean, granted, the Cleveland Browns have a good defense, but maybe it was the elf being on midfield. You notice how they're doing that again?
Yes, I did.
Maybe that he couldn't get over that distraction or something. Who knows? We got about 10 minutes left, so I think it'd be fun to start doing. I don't know if it's. I don't mean to spring it on you now, but a little like look forward ahead to do like a little bit of your gambling lines, or is that something you'd be opposed to for the future? I feel like that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, we could talk about next week's games a little bit. You got the schedule up?
I'll pull it up right now because I feel like we kind of covered all these games pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, there was like I hate to say it, there
Add
wasn't
or
really
any?
much to talk about this week.
What's that?
There wasn't much to talk about this week besides the big teams losing. Everything else was kind of like the script, the normal script. There was not any. There was two big upsets, and the rest of the games went as we expected.
And I truly, I think you're in the same boat. I follow the league religiously during I have my neighbor
Yeah,
came
me
over today
too.
to drop something off, and they were making fun of us for having the two TVs up, and I was like, yeah, it's just it's a religion. All right, so Thursday night football, Jags at New Orleans. Ugh, just
Disgusting.
not even worth now. Not even worth it.
No, can I make a comment on that?
Please.
Trevor Lawrence, man, he's good, but sometimes he looks like he's just awful. I don't understand. He
I'm
could
kind of
one
out on.
play.
Honestly, I'm kind of out.
He's
He,
so up and down.
he is, and he has Evan Ingram. He has ETN, who's having
Little Eli Manning, little Eli Manning at him.
I get.
Maybe,
Well, I'm not even.
maybe.
No, I'm not even gonna say because Eli could go on the road in the playoffs and fucking kill it.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence
maybe.
is
Okay.
nothing to that degree.
Yeah, nice hair though.
Tremendous
Good
hair.
family.
Reminds me of a young Buckingham.
I know. I was gonna say he reminds me of a young.
If only he played
uh
in Spike Tim's, you know.
Yeah.
So Vegas, is it too early to say we have another terrible slate on our hands next week?
Ooh, it's not looking good. I'll tell you that. But we can go
Vegas,
through a little
Chicago,
bit.
no interest in that. Cleveland and
No.
I was into that when the Minshew Mania was going on, but Minshew Mania has come to a screeching halt. I'm out.
Mhm.
Buffalo and New England, depending on how Buffalo looks tonight, there could be some buzz going into that. But
That'd be a good game.
your boy Squash Allen, top 3 quarterback right now, and it's really we're
You gotta
lucky
show
that
me something
he
tonight.
didn't get to
You
spit
got
out any Allen hate this week. That's nice. Redskins, or excuse me, the Commanders at the Giants.
How dare you?
Inter, another reason to get it scrapped. Another interconference NFC East game. Falcons and Bucks. That game, that's got some legs for me. The
That would
Falcons.
decide a division.
Falcons are a little bit fun. Yeah, those are they the top 2 in the NFC South? No?
I think so. Because who else is it? It's in the. I don't even know who
Saints,
else is in that division.
Panthers.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that might decide the division.
Definitely an early preview at the division winner. Detroit, Baltimore, definitely our best 1 o'clock game. Would you agree? How do you foresee that one going?
I could see that going two ways. I could see the Lions just kind of kick their ass because I don't believe in the Ravens defense much. But I could also see the Ravens just running it down their throat.
Yeah, we got to have one of those amazing Lamar games coming up. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
a matter of time. But yeah, they're very inconsistent. I don't trust the Ravens at all. I don't really know what to make of them right now.
Okay.
Pittsburgh at your Los Angeles Rams. How do you
Ooh.
see that game unfolding? Well, now we got Reef as in the Rams corner.
Listen, I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan, and he's coming off of a bye,
Yeah,
so you can't doubt the guy. He goes 500 every year. He pretty much makes the playoffs every year.
regardless
The
of
Rams definitely have to win this game to show me that they're a real team.
now the problem with the Rams, and you could almost say it's more impressive, is that they almost play 17 road games all year
And
because
the
they don't
Steelers
have.
game next week, that's 100% a road game.
And that's exactly why I brought it up, because they seem to have so many home games against the fan bases that travel the best. They just played the
Yeah.
Eagles. They got the Steelers coming in with one of the best traveling fan bases. So it's going to be a real test for your Rams. So we'll see how they make out. You think they're going to come out on top? You like the Rams?
Yeah, I think the Rams will win. I don't think the Steelers can cover.
Yeah. Arizona and Seattle. I'm pretty good.
It'll be a fun game. Josh Dobbs, he is
Yeah.
quite the fun player.
Smith's fun. He got 3 good receivers, so Seattle for me. Green
Yeah.
Bay at Denver. Me and
I'd
you,
rather I'd no.
middle school.
Yeah, I'd rather no,
That's
please.
no. Think about it though, buddy. It is
I
fun.
know it's literally like if it was 2005, we would be having a blast, and
Yeah.
it's just sad.
Who
Those franchises,
was the quarterback in 2005 for the Broncos? Was it Jake Plummer? Was it Jake?
Jake Plummer. He had the great year. Then they lost the AFC Championship to the cheating Patriots, and they blew it up.
Was
Traded Jay Cutler or Jake Plummer. Drafted Jay Cutler.
Who was the receivers number 80? They had Ed
Rod
McCaffrey,
Smith.
Rod Smith, and Dude, let's
Yeah.
go. On paper, game is terrible. You never know. Maybe it's the
No.
Russell Wilson and Sean Payton comeback game, and they're really stamping their.
Which I'd legit rather not.
Yeah, we're good. Chargers and Chiefs. This one has the potential to be some fun. Another game that we're not doing this after the Sunday and Monday night game, so we don't know how those 4 teams are going to fare and what the storyline is going to be going in. But how do you foresee that one going? You're Patrick Mahomes, your favorite player.
I think the Chiefs will win another ugly, low-scoring game. We'll be excited about the game. It'll be the marquee game of the week, 4 o'clock, and it'll be an absolute sleeper.
Yep. Now, as the Chiefs continue to do this, are you more impressed, or are you trying to because their defense has looked a lot better this year?
Yeah.
Few years, but the offense is what they've been known for. Is this just a change of identity? Is this
no,
trade away? Are they, maybe a Devontae Adams? Could they get someone like that? How does that work?
I mean, they lost their offensive coordinator. I think everyone kind of forgot about that. Bieniemy, right?
Yeah. As
I think
Chris
that's a
Carter was
big.
sleeping with the enemy. Amazing.
I think that's a big deal, but their receivers are absolutely horrible.
Probably the worst in the league. I
They're
mean,
up there.
Sky Moore and Rasheed Rice and Valdez Scantling. It is just
But I mean, their line is actually better than it's been the last few years. Kelsey is great. Um, and the
is
running back Pacheco's great too. It's just you can't have two players be your whole offense. It's not basketball.
yeah, and it's been like that for the last couple of years. So I think they proved their point. They got rid of Tyreek. They won the Super Bowl without him, but it's just imagine if
It's
they
like
still had him. They'd be
even
true.
losing Juju Smith Schuster, like is like he was not bad. He's
No,
not good.
and then he
But he
goes
was
to
better than
the
yeah,
complete non-factor. But just
yeah,
imagine if the Chiefs found a way to make it work and kept Tyreek with Kelsey. I mean, they'd be like Patriots level dynasty.
yeah.
Truly.
It's scary.
Um, that leads us into Sunday Night Football, baby. Dolphins at Eagles. We already kind of previewed that, but give us your take on that. I mean, major bounce back potential for the Eagles. We got the Tua versus Jalen Hurts game. If Jalen Hurts wasn't fired up coming off a loss, now he's going against
Yeah,
who stole his
yeah.
fucking job and made him switch colleges. Is
Listen,
this it or what?
I believe in Jalen Hurts so much. He's going to be so mad at himself. He's not going to accept today's result. He's going to go work hard as hell in practice this week. He's going to tell Adrian Brown to stop his fucking crying and bitching.
Yeah.
Devontae Space is going to be like, "Hey, you have to come to the ball when I throw to you. You can't just lay back and wait for the ball to fall on your freaking chest." The defense is going to cover for once.
Carter coming back, Darius Slay coming back. We don't know
We're going to make Tua.
yet, but yeah, we got to get Tua on the ground. We got to get him rattled. He hasn't really
Yeah,
been
and we got
faced.
to stop that freaking running back they have, that fast fuck Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, and like
And
hey, dude, they didn't play what's his name, Chain, and then they bring in
yeah,
Salvin Ahmed, and he looks good. So the Dolphins, I
yeah,
think their offensive coordinator, or excuse me, their coach McDaniel, he truly is one of the better offensive minds in the league, and the
yeah.
Eagles could really use someone like
Throw
that
the
right
ball
now.
to Tyreek Hill. Good play.
Now, if you watch their
I
game,
know. I'm kidding. I know.
their offense is very unique. We're under the
Motion.
second mark now, so let's just the Monday night game, 49ers at Minnesota. Other than the 49ers coming off a loss, I think that's going to be an easy win for them.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts about week 6?
Last thoughts about week 6. God, the quarterback play is so bad. Please save us.
Yeah,
Please, Lord.
it's
Please fix my league. I want to go back to the days of Philip Rivers and all the great quarterbacks in the middle tier when we just had fun every week watching great quarterbacks.
funny you're saying that. And as we log off, we're going to watch Tyrod Taylor. So everybody enjoy your
Oh,
week. See you guys
just
next
like
week. Peace.